Hi there. Welcome to Home Wizards. I'm Cindy Dole.
Hey, I'm Eric Stromer.
And, well, you know what we love to do?
Yeah, what?
We love to do things.
Yeah, every day.
And like what? Improve your home and improve your life.
All the time.
And make you feel happy.
I feel like I dropped the ball.
Why?
Because you posed all these things to me and I failed.
Well, you know, it's because you were so excited about and the love that you're feeling for
thank you.
People who are listening because estate sales are going on right now.
That's something
and you were saying it's a celebration.
Celebrate good times. Come on.
So let's talk about having your own celebration in your own yard because, you know, there's a garage sale, there's a yard sale, but then there is a way of really turning this puppy into a money-making venture.
Well, yeah, there's so many elements to it, and I think presentation is huge, and we'll go through this point by point, but just some general topics. The presentation's fantastic, time, proximity, styling, making sure that it's
making it like a store,
easily accessible. So let's go point by point.
Well, first of all, when you're driving around your neighborhood on the weekend, you probably will see these signs that say estate sale.
Yeah.
Or moving sale. Yeah. And you're kind of going, ooh, that looks a little different, doesn't it?
Well, you know why? Because estate sale means that Tara from Gone with the Wind is having a sale and precious antiques are being sold at slashed prices. That's what it says to me, right? It's like Beverly Hills adjacent. It's that same
they've
thing.
amped it up, haven't they?
Right,
and all of a sudden you're fantasizing about the goodies as opposed to garage sale. I don't want to buy baby diapers.
I don't want to buy an old iron.
No. I mean, I'd like to sell them.
I want this credenza from the 1800s for $15.
All right, so tip number one is to kind of think about marketing, all right, and call your sale something a little better than just a garage sale. So maybe it's not an estate sale, but maybe it's an everything goes sale. It's a moving sale. It's come up with something creative that implies that there are some really fantastic finds in there besides the 1970s TV.
I personally do love estate sale. That catches my attention more often than not.
It does. Yeah. Well, just make sure you have something that's worthy of estate, because then all of a sudden they show up and they're like, wait a minute. This is a
hovel. This isn't an estate. Yeah, and then you know what else is, I think, really important? It's the size and the color and the font that you write with your big Sharpie when you're making poster boards to hang up on the telephone poles, all your ads.
Yeah.
They need to really be accessible and clear in terms of vision. They got to be in areas where tons of cars and traffic come by, and start. They do this in production really well when you're shooting a movie or a TV show or something.
For the crew, you mean?
Yeah, you start with a sign that's about a mile away, and then it's an arrow, and then there's a mile down the road. There's another one with a right. It's a progressive thing that kind of gets you into the neighborhood and really clearly and cleanly suggests where you need to go in terms of driving. Right?
Well, for people who don't live in Hollywood, I guess you could go online and see what the picture of these cards look like, but they're often fluorescent cardboard paper that you can find at the arts and crafts store, and a simple black font, a simple Sharpie.
Exactly, so bright yellow, bright pink, bright green.
Orange.
Yeah, I think they really stand out.
Very few words, it just pops, right?
Like estate sale, the address, arrow this
next,
way or something,
more.
or right turn arrow or something like that.
And then maybe say something like food.
And I would also put the hours. I think it's important to sort of, and the reason being is it's important to put hours because people are going to come early anyway. So instead of saying from 7 to 4, say 8 because they're going to come at 7 anyway.
That's true.
But you don't want them there at 6. Or they start kind of careening into your home, and you're still laying in bed sleeping, and they're going like, "Is this clock radio for sale?"
Yeah, they're coming in.
Yeah.
Make sure too, by the way, that not only do you have readable signs that are a distance so that a driver can slow down, but that you're following the city rules. There's certain communities where they don't allow. They limit the number of garage sales you can have per year,
right?
Because they don't want junk out on people's front lawns.
I had a neighbor for a couple of years in my first house where they made this a business. I mean, they did this every single weekend, and they would go to garage sales and then bring that stuff, put it out on the lawn.
And there's a problem with that, right?
Well, there is. It got to the point where, we couldn't use our own street on the weekend because it was so filled with potential buyers.
So check with your city, because that's not, you're not going to make friends with your neighbors, and it's not a good thing. But if you are following the rules,
let your neighbors know too.
Yeah, of course.
We're doing this. Please understand, it'll be a couple hours of parking problems, but there, what's in it for you? A couple old books that I don't read anymore.
And some snacks.
And some snacks.
Now, by the way, when you are doing this and you're checking into what the city allows, also you'll notice in some communities, like in our hometown, you aren't allowed to have signs on like street poles and things like that. So instead, people will use their vehicle and put the sign on the back of their truck and park the truck like down the street.
That's a good idea.
So I don't know, but just check out. There's some different do's and don'ts in terms of how you drum up attention to your great sale.
And don't forget, too, newspapers and,
Online,
Craigslist,
yes.
anything online.
Marketing everywhere.
Give yourself 2 weeks. There's enough lead time so people see it.
Another way to make money is to offer some freebies. Now, a lot of times while you're having this great estate sale, maybe it's something where you buy one and you get an extra thing for free, or, encouraging people to spend.
Right.
Basically taking a cue like from Target and all these other stores where you see, well, what are they doing?
Sure.
Copy them.
Anytime they say free, it again, like estate sale, it gets your attention.
Right. Don't forget Friday, by the way. A lot of people say that Sunday is the best day for a sale because a lot of people will save, we save our Saturdays for what? Our chores or running around crazy. But, if you start your sale a little earlier than you think, believe it or not, the best day of the week to hold a garage sale is Friday.
Well, that gets the retirees and the folks that no longer have much to do, and
dealers.
And dealers, too.
People who are sniffing it out.
They're coming early.
Yeah, they're professional garage sale shoppers.
And then that gives you 2.5 days for this thing to unfold, and then the word of mouth starts to spread, and people are going, hey, they're giving away furniture for free. Go to this place.
Yeah. So basically you want to make sure you don't forget about Friday and make sure you are going to give away, it's a 2-for-1 deal. These are all really great tips because we want you to make some money when you do this the next time you're not only downsizing your stuff and creating more space, but it's kind of fun to make a little bit of cash, right?
Sure, hot cash.
The other thing to think about is, a lot of business generally happens in the morning, so it's best to get an early start, like you say, finish it maybe late in the afternoon as opposed to too much later, right? Well, we have some more tips for you because we're all about helping you have a money-making estate sale. We'll show you how to label things, too, because that's another trick to make sure that it's labeled the right way. Eric Stromer, Cindy Dole, you're listening to Home Wizards. Well, welcome back to Home Wizards. I'm Cindy Dole.
Hey, I'm Eric Stromer.
And thanks for hanging with us. So we love to help you enjoy the space you call home. We call it improving your home and improving your life. And by the way, throughout the week when you aren't with us here, you can listen to us and watch videos and check in with us. Just go to yourhomewizards.com. You can listen to past shows. You can also catch us streaming, and you can have us follow you on iTunes. All of our shows will come into your inbox, all that good stuff. Just go to the website. So we're talking about ways to make money with a yard sale, and we're not going to call it a yard sale. We're going to call it something fancier.
We're going to call it an estate sale.
And we're going to give, it's going to be like a 2-for-1 deal. We're going to give things away. We're going to offer some fabulous things. We're going to maybe have some snacks. We're going to start it on a Friday. We're going to start maybe like around 8 in the morning and then end in the late afternoon.
8 to 4 or 5.
Yeah.
We're going to put boundaries on our sign. We're going to let everybody know when it is, where it is. It's going to be clear and concise and easy to read.
And you, Mr. Former Contractor, we're going to also offer building supplies and leftover lumber and old tools.
What about all those tiles and cinder blocks and maybe even old tools that don't serve you anymore? Those can go out in a group. Yeah. Also, speaking of groups, I like the idea of things being grouped.
Yeah, like a store.
Like a store, like at Target, you're going to see the gum in one section, magazine in another, and of course my favorite, personal men's grooming products in another, right? And it's the same sensibility, and you want to make the aisles of your garage sale area easy to walk around and through and access things. You also want power. You want a extension cord with a power strip so things can be plugged in and tried.
Oh, good, yeah.
That's a real important tip. And just a friendly demeanor where things, let's talk to them about pricing. I mean, I think it's important to talk about how that works out.
So the pricing is, we're going to get to the labeling of the tags and the pricing, but in terms of like how you would price your building supplies and materials, because we don't want to toss the workshop leftovers. We want to arrange them like it is a Home Depot. And so maybe we could price that like you're getting a whole group of things,
Sure.
You have some stone or marble or gutter segments, all of those things. And then also when you're thinking about having a great sale to make money, go ahead, make sure that you do go to the city hall and get the endorsement so that you are following the rules and the guidelines. That's going to be a real bummer. You have all this stuff in place. You have your signs, you have all your things, and then you find out that, you only are allowed to have a few sales a year.
Yeah, some communities don't allow more than one or two per family per home.
Right.
So you definitely have to know that.
And also there's some federal rules, by the way, in terms of the resale of baby furniture, because that can pose risks like because of recalls.
Oh.
So there's some safety things that you may not be thinking about, and you don't want that to go wrong, right? And then another strategy.
I mean, you could even say things like, giving away free lead paint toys.
Oh, yeah.
No, you don't want to do
Not a good idea. You'll get some friends showing up with
brain
uniforms.
damage. Yeah.
Well, also make sure that you're displaying your merchandise, with good care. You don't want to put items unless they are pieces of furniture on the ground. Instead, maybe hang them or place them on tables and cover the tables with sheets and tablecloths. So it kind of, again, looks like your point, like a store looks really well displayed, and organized.
Sure.
And so every aisle you can almost come up with little staging areas. So let's say if you had some patio furniture to give away, create like a little nook that looks like someone's backyard. And so it not only has the furniture, but maybe it has a bird feeder, and you have some little outdoor lights and maybe outdoor speakers or whatever, so it feels like a vignette.
That's right. And then also boundaries on your own property. For example, you want some blue tape going across your doorway that says "Do not enter." You also want to kind of keep the garage really organized and clear that these things are for sale, these things are not. A lot of times you'll have a garage in the front of your home. The door will be open because that's just what you do when you have a garage configuration like that. And you have to be very clear with folks that, the stuff behind this roped off areas are not for sale, but these things are, right? Because also people will wander into your house. They'll walk in if you're not looking and say, is this television for sale? And again, it's like a very clear delineation of where you can and cannot go.
Mm-hmm. Good. Now, you asked about how do we price things. So let's talk about that, because we want to make money on this yard sale, right? But we want to be smart about it because this is used stuff. So the idea is there's a 50-30-10 rule. And what that means is if you have something, maybe you received a Christmas present and you've never really used it. Yes.
And you've tried to regift it, and it's come back to you.
But it's brand new, okay? Yeah. So those kind of almost new things, you can sell those about half off of retail, 50% of what you think that would sell in the store. So think of it. Let's say you had a brand new pair of jeans. You never
$100 retail.
Exactly, $50. Don't be afraid of selling those for $50, especially if they're nice, great designer jeans, right?
You mean like my old Sassoon jeans?
Well, those maybe
those might be even more. Those might be 60.
Well, those are probably vintage now. Those are probably classic. Plus, they're Eric Stromer's Sassoon jeans.
Right.
So mark it up.
Thank you.
But okay, so a 50-30-10 rule. So 50% of retail again is if it's almost new, right?
Yeah.
Then if it's something that, let's say, is slightly used. Think of something that you have slightly used, not an old T-shirt.
No, but I'd say kid toys are a good example.
A kid toy that was
used.
just very slightly, or maybe there was some electronics that was still in great shape, but, for case in point, we received this DVD burner.
Okay.
Hardly ever used it.
No.
Now, it's kind of one of those things that people may not need to use anymore because now we're all using our computers.
Sure.
But you might want to burn physical DVDs.
Yeah.
And I have something that was probably $300 at the time. Maybe I now sell that at 25 to 30% of retail.
Yeah.
So that would be a good, scale to consider. And then if you have something that is really used, do you still have that Earth Day T-shirt?
Yeah, heck yeah.
Is it still around?
Don't pry that from my dead hands like Chuck Heston with the rifle. You kidding me?
Well, if it is around, or any of those other classic, concert T-shirts that you have that you can part with, and they're really used.
True.
10%.
10%.
So 50-30-10. 50 means it's brand new. 30% of retail if it's slightly, and 10% if it's really used.
Sure.
Now, if it's an antique, you might want to think of it differently because, of course, if it's an antique, there's a value, and, you're going to have some professionals coming by, and they know a good deal.
That's right.
So you don't want to, give away something that's so valuable. And you're going to tag everything, and we're going to show you how to ultimately tag it all, but avoid wasting time and attention haggling, with people, because people are going to, start to bargain with you, right? But if you have an easy-to-find spot, on your items with a tag, then there's no question. Right?
That's true.
So unless, of course, you might group smaller products together. Let's say you have some spoons, some flatware, and some cups. You can put that all together, and it's at one set price.
That's a good idea. And color code that. So maybe you only have 3 or 4 different price points for the small tchotchke stuff. You got your, fluorescent red, yellow, green, and blue. We all know that the red is $10, the blue is $5, the purple is, 7 cents or whatever it is, whatever you delineate.
Yeah.
Just makes it simple so that your accounting is easy. Don't make things $37.99. It's rounded numbers so you can make change easy.
But I like the idea of the color coding.
Yeah.
That's very simple. Now, what can you sell at the garage sale? Here are some tips on things that will really be a way of turning, your trash into someone else's treasure, right? And, it's basically easy once you know the tricks. But first, you have to basically think that you're hunting for merchandise. You want to move obvious sale items into the garage, or maybe do a clean sweep of your attic and your basement, and then go room by room with a box and check cupboards and closets and dressers and look for stuff that you want to offload. Now, what do you think is going to be sure to sell, right? Well, let's go through some of those things, because some items are like more obvious than others. I think that
But then there's some that'll surprise you.
I know.
Like you didn't know.
Well, dishes and cookware and kitchen gadgets are actually at the top of buyers' lists. You would think, well, maybe people would just go like to Kmart or Target or whatever, but especially if you can find, so if they're in good condition, and maybe they might be some vintage stuff, really cute decor, whatever. So top of the list, dishes, cookware, and kitchen gadgets. Do you have any of those around?
I always do.
Yeah? Like maybe an old fondue set, which is coming back.
I'm not giving the fondue away.
You're not giving it away?
Heck
Fondue
no.
is still, it's
Fondue's
making a comeback.
back, baby.
Yeah.
It's back.
Another really one that's popular, believe it or not, are toys and kids' gear, like strollers.
Totally makes sense. Because,
Strollers
they
and
have such a short shelf life in your own home. So those are barely used. And if you can get the kid to part with the toy and sell it, boy, that's good. And sometimes that helps the kids release sort of the attachment they have to those things when they see a transaction occur. And you say, look, this little guy's going to have your old toy set that you wouldn't let me throw out.
It's going to live on in
They're
someone
live
else.
On someone else's
That's
house.
nice. That's a good way of doing it. So number 1 on the list is kitchen, dishes, cookware, gadgets. Number 2 is toys and kids' gear, like that, playpens, etc. Then number 3 is artwork and frames.
Yeah, frames are good.
Artwork and frames.
I have a lot of frames.
And then next to that, tools, lamps, and furniture.
Yep. And clothing, surprisingly, clothing doesn't go so fast.
Clothing doesn't go as fast. Yeah. Well, people
it just depends. I've tried all things, and the clothing generally doesn't move, especially if it's out of style.
Yeah. Well, so anyway, we'll put all these ideas up on the website because we want you to have an estate sale. We're not calling it a
You're gonna
garage
make some
sale.
money here.
We want you to make some money, okay?
Yeah,
Let us know
cash.
how much you made. Just check us out at yourhomewizards.com. When we come back, we have some fun summer projects that you have to try before we say goodbye to summer. Eric Stromer, Cindy Dole, you're listening to Home Wizards.
If I had $1 million